Welcome back to Trekyards, everybody. I am Captain Foley.
Can't you tell? And I am Commander Coggins.
Yeah, we're back. We're going to talk some TOS today, in case you couldn't tell.
It's a good week for 50-something-year-old fans. And anybody in between who enjoyed Relics and Trials and Tribulations and Intimate Darkly and Flashbacks to some extent. TOS, Stuart, is actually back. Now, Lower Decks has shown us several uniforms and props, which are great. And Prodigy did show us last season a Spock and an Uhura in TOS costume. Fantastic. But no show since Enterprise, which was the last of the Berman era shows, has actually shown a TOS a la TOS. So it took them a couple of years, Stuart. It's been a long time getting from Enterprise to here. So we're going to go through this episode and break down our thoughts as each new piece of TOS was revealed. So it started with a uniform spoof and a phaser, both of which we'd seen, so it was no great reveal. But if that was all we got, looked good. I mean, that phaser looks good.
It does, and it looks well worn. As you can imagine, there were quite a few, well, probably a handful of phasers available to them. So this one's been around for a while.
And that is certainly something to congratulate TOS Tech. It may be simple looking, but it can last 100 years.
Yep, absolutely.
And these aren't acted like the antiques. They're being used as production. We need a weapon. We've got a weapon. We've got 6 of them. Yep.
And it was great to see. It was a really quick flash, though, on screen. This one was kind of hard to lock down. You saw it, but it was hard to screen cap it unless you do frame by frame.
And I appreciate as well the uniforms are a fun patchwork. I can imagine though that they aren't super non-advanced. Oh my god, shit! That they probably could have made it in one fabric. One complete, and they would have been version 1 or 2 of the uniform, rather than being literally sewed together. They've been intentional lines as if this is their pattern. Because why they all be constructed in the same non-constructed way?
The thing that confuses me is that the delta is skewed, much like the animated series, which is weird because they have the actual uniform from Anson.
They're the screen-used uniform.
Literally, yeah. They took it off his dead body and framed it. So they have it. They look at it all the time. You think that they get the delta at least right.
Yes, that can't be like the phasers. 100 years can't change how they think they are. Because go check.
It's right in front of them. Yeah, it's not like it's from memory and it's kind of like a little skewed. But
it's cute because it's their version. You know, at least it's the proper delta. I mean, they you know. Then Stuart, they went inside their camp. They did see a ship exterior, but it's not a TOS design directly, so we're going to skip that for now. And we get this confusing and wonderful shot. And it's like, and just for context, this isn't a ship. This is some flats they put up inside their house ship, which is not a house. It's not a ship. It's not a house. It's a building with buildings, and this is a part. It's like a set inside the set with a working view screen.
Yeah, and I guess cameras above them because it's showing what they're doing with their hands. I guess I don't know if that's the ones that are actually there or if it's a training thing. I think it's a training simulation. But where'd they get the actual one to push the buttons and stuff? I don't know. It's very accurate.
It's very accurate. I mean, how did they build this based on shuttle logs?
You'd think there'd be schematics and stuff aboard the shuttle. Perhaps.
Would you? So any shuttle that crashed on any alien planet, they can recreate the Enterprise bridge?
Happens all the time. You see them scanning through the files and you see the blueprints.
But that's normally a ship, not a shuttle, though.
They're playing Bridge Crew. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
Very immersive. And judging by that button press that he's doing, he's actually selecting a destination for the helm. That's what that button does.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, this is the get out of jail free, I believe, for the end scene where they fly the ship. They're implying they're actually teaching them how to fly the ship with training videos. Although training videos of them in their own costumes. Like, this should have honestly been actual shots of the TOS Enterprise bridge with actual characters from the show as logs. Because
would have been better. Yeah. It would have been better in the top left to have like Starfleet training video and actually have like real Starfleet uniforms.
Well, especially as they already have a Uhura and Spock model made for that last episode. They could have easily have put Spock in showing Uhura how to work helm, and there'd be zero new assets created. Except I guess at the bridge, but they've already built part of it. I mean, it's a small thing, but you know, but beautiful to see. And if this had been it, But the caveat being here, guys, is that obviously it is very accurate to actual proper TOS. However, fans who disagree with having that being the look could have said, oh, this is their fun recreation on Alien Planet. It doesn't count. So I was like, okay, this is great, but it's not the level we need. So still waiting. The next time is an even further sillier version. The Playhouse, Stuart.
Yes, the on-stage recreation. Which is fairly accurate. I mean, it's good 80% good.
Exactly as a Playhouse. If any of us had that in our local Playhouse, we'd accept it as a really cool backdrop. And I like the fact that there is a certain logic to the TOS displays. You can tell there isn't here. They just threw colours together. And I like that. It actually feels appropriately random versus how the TOS feels. So I actually quite like.
And the upper monitors, the lines that are on them, displayed on them, actually extend past the border of the screen. I don't know if you noticed that, but
because they're just painted on, yeah. That's great.
Yes, small little things.
But we've got a correct TOS Connie MSD. Attention to detail, Stuart. The next shot. Holy hell.
The Galileo 7. It's actually the 7, too. Which got destroyed in the episode of Galileo 7.
But got replaced by Galileo 7A. Did they just rub off the A?
Perfect. I would say this is perfect.
I mean, this is a very, very good model. I mean, the great thing about TOS, they're easy enough to build, CG-wise, because it's not that intricate. But you know when it feels right. Because a lot, like, just that top lip can be a lot thinner, a lot thicker, a lot bigger. That feels really freaking close.
Kudos to them again for this one, because sure, it's been through a little bit of, stuff. It's quite weathered, but hey.
It's also interesting because my assumption is that it landed versus crashed, given the damage, and then it degraded over 100 years, and the pieces they removed were to give tech to the culture. So the doors, they have a working door, so they can see how doors work. And then obviously most of the consoles, the chairs, the back piece, everything in the back, because there's a separate door and a back segment, isn't there? And that's just been removed. It's just a hollow shell. So stuff's been taken out.
Well, it's weird though, because Anson warned them of the danger, presumably from the leak. So they couldn't really go back without getting sick.
But my assumption is the leak would have been later than it crashed. Like, he had a bit of time of, hello, good to meet you, and a few weeks, whatever, there's no Enterprise rescuing, and at what point do you say, okay, well, it's been 8.5 weeks, I'm at the edge of, I'm past Federation space, they're probably not going to come back for me, let me live here. And then they take some stuff out, and then the leak happens. Because you're right, otherwise how are they removing stuff? Because the door didn't just melt off in the exact shape of the doorway, so it had to be removed. And they certainly didn't go down here.
Yeah, and it's not like the door's open, because that bottom piece flops out onto the nacelle as part of the opening. So, yeah.
What I like about this is that there is an incorrectness of the interior and exterior of the shuttle. We know there is. But I love when you actually see it like this, the floor is the floor. There's no tech below the floor. Like, this is a tin can.
But there is in Galileo 7, because Scotty's got the panel open in the floor and he's messing around with the phasers. Ah, well.
I like it. And amazing, again, the facades are active and there's power in. This thing, despite 100 years of degradation, gas, the lithium radiation, whatever, this thing is still functional, and he's able to repair the communications. That's very impressive for this tech to hold on that long. More than I'd give it credit for, honestly, if I was writing it myself, personally.
Super happy to see this.
Yeah, and the confirmation of now there's a warp core. Confirmed Canon 100%. So, honestly, having now had an hour to contemplate this, I feel like I should make a fan film of the ship at warp. Just to piss off / make fans happy, because now it can, and it'll be confusing to me. It's like, oh, it's at warp. And we can be at warp now, it's weird. And then watch the Discovery Shuttle just zoom past it.
Yeah. Like warp 3 max, and for a limited amount of time, maybe, or something. Yeah.
Next shot, though, is the real dessert. The chocolate cake, the beautiful apple crumble, the chocolate ice cream sundae. Name the best desserts. Talk, Stuart. This is on you. I'm gonna step away for a second and let the captain talk.
I love the holographic reconfiguration, which still ties all the ship's systems into these these buttons. That is amazing, first of all, in and of itself. But yes, this was overboard almost, like not necessary. It would have been. I thought they were just going to reconfigure the actual panels to look TOS, not actually have a holographic representation, and to change the captain's chair as well. Man, so happy about that. They didn't line up the captain's chair properly because it is on the ship. The station on the right there that the guy's in front of should be right behind the captain. It's a small thing, and it's how the Constellation class was. I do prefer this look, actually. It's just because of the holographic emitters and the way that the bridge is set up that they did this. So
because it's not recreating a Connie bridge, it's reconfiguring their console layout to where. So that makes sense, which is kind of great because there isn't any back consoles on the ProStar bridge. There's forward-facing consoles further back. So it actually adds more consoles in a sense. And it also takes two consoles further aside, then puts two in the middle. Like, it entirely changes it. Now, as a TOS fan, then, and having people who you have both been on these sets and also VR'd in these sets extensively, how are you vibing the accuracy, the lighting, the look, the vibe? Thoughts?
It's 100% accurate. Honestly, the lighting, the panels, all of the blinkies, the upper displays, everything is like spot on. Again, they didn't necessarily have to do that, but they did. And it's weird too because that console that he's heading to at the back is not a communications console. It's one of the engineering consoles. Makes sense in the context of the show, but yeah, not exactly like the Connie Bridge.
Oh, you know what they should have done? Just a little bit of an Easter egg. There's a you can see an Enterprise MSD on the right. That should have been a Protostar, but in TOS colors. Because that does not make sense to be a TOS Connie. That doesn't make sense. If that had been a Protostar, like full TOS, that would have been so pretty.
It's just one of those consoles they don't really need in this instance, so the computer just said, whatever, I'll just make it a...
No, but for me, this is, just incredible. And there's a shot later on, it does not look dated. Like, it looks sci-fi and colourful and vibrant. And it actually, honestly, makes the bridge look kind of cooler. Like, it's different, but the amount of colour pop here adds so much to the bridge. But obviously what you're seeing is mostly the TOS stuff. But this red, like the fact that there's the red and the displays and that all comes together in a beautiful vibe. The ProStar's missing. It's silver, it's white, it's silver, it's cream, it's silver, it's a bit of blue. This is so colourful and nice to look at visually. This thing has not aged a day in terms of that. For 50, 60 years, that looks incredible visually. And who's going to say, the chairs look old? No, they're weird. They're sci-fi chairs. Like, no one,
Although the one she's sitting in is huge. I know she's supposed to be smaller as like a kid.
Yeah, I never got she was a daughter, but I guess, yeah, she's a kid.
Even the one that he's sitting in is too big. But hey, it's all right.
Well, in fairness, we don't know the scale of them because they could be aliens that are all like 5'2", because the kids are small.
Could be. Yeah.
They all have the same hair and makeup, so they might be... Yeah, so let's not say that. The next shot, though...
This would make a perfect thumbnail if you don't want to spoil anything for anybody. It's great. The lighting is fantastic. The glows behind them are perfect. It just feels... Honestly, it makes me want a CGI Star Trek show. Because it just looks so good. And yeah, it does absolutely not look dated. It still looks very futuristic.
Because when you also compare to like the ProStar cars, where they're also just like square buttons. Like, what's the difference between having lots of blue square buttons to lots of red, green, and yellow square buttons? There's no visible difference from this sort of out of focus distance. You know what I mean? It doesn't look super out of place. You add a rotating view of the ship, boom, you've got a modern, whatever. Yeah, this looks so cinematic, it's unreal. And this is like the dark. There is a version earlier which is, I picked this because it's more cinematic, but there's another shot where you get to see less of the bridge, but it's brighter. And it looks just incredible. This looks like movie TOS quality. They lit it super well. It just shows fans this thing can still look incredible. Anamorphic, out of focus, nice lighting. Proof is in the pudding, Stuart. That's the second time in 20 years it looked amazing, because second time it was given a chance to, Yeah,
Inamir Darkly did it very well as well, and it looks cinematic and beautiful, so...
But let's jump back again to the full shot, because it's kind of the fun one to end on. But yeah, TOS, unchanged. They didn't... There's a little tweak here and there we'll address in our detailed breakdown. This is just through the episode. But, they did it properly, which is sad that we've reached the point where this is an achievement to do what literally every other show did, to just recreate TOS. Like, they all took that as a solemn duty to recreate, and they did it, and everyone loved it every time. And it's sad from 2004 to 2022. It was like are they going to show TOS at TOS? Ooh. Well, of course they should. Like, there should not be a debate on that. You know, and I was honestly thinking the Galileo could have been the Strange New Worlds shuttle. But, you know, obviously, thank you to the team for keeping that separate. You know, it is the Discovery and Strange New Worlds visual reboot stuff. I mean, you know, we always list out the shows that have showed TOS as being canon. Here's another one. TOS, TNG, Voyager, DS9, Enterprise, and Prodigy, and Lodex to some extent. That's, you know, it's a lot of shows.
All right, guys. So I think that's it for a brief overview. We're going to go into more detail on most of this, if not all this stuff, in other videos and lives. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Please like this video, comment down below. And if you want to help us out, there's many ways to do so.
Like Patreon, PayPal, join the channel on YouTube. Patrons join the channel but on Patreon, or support the channel via Super Chats and a live, like a TOS themed live. Join us for that, or a shirt down below with the TOS-esque themed shirts as well, I believe, or super thanksing. If you love TOS, super thanks $1 in this video right now. That could make us a millionaire with how many people love TOS.
It's very true.
Actually,
$1 is all we need.
Yeah, a million of you, $1, boom. You do a lot more Trekyards.
So until next time, guys, he is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley.
See you guys later.
Bye, guys.